Good day everyone, I am Kenth Rabor and I am going to report about harvesting and threshing. What is harvesting? Harvesting is the operation of gathering the useful part of the plant and is carried out at the time when all the nutrients have developed and the edible parts have reached the appropriate degree of maturity. In general, the harvest takes place 10 or 15 days after the grain has reached psychological maturity. Harvesting is the process of gathering a ripe crop from the fields. Reaping is the cutting of grain or posts for harvest, typically using a scythe, sickle, or reaper. On smaller farms with minimal mechanization, harvesting is the most labor-intensive activity of the growing season. And there are different methods of harvesting. First is the manual harvesting. In many countries, rice ears are cut by hand. A special knife is frequently used in Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Africa. For instance, in Kamasan's regions of Senegal, rice is cut stem by stem with a knife, 10 cm below the panicle so as to leave straw in the field, in amounts large enough to produce grazing for cattle. Nevertheless, such practice is labor-intensive. Another method is the mechanized harvesting. During past decades, the mechanization of rice harvesting has rapidly evolved. It first developed in Japan, then Europe, and has now reached many tropical countries. Next, what is threshing? Threshing is the process of separation of grain from the stalk on which it develops and from the chaff or unit that covers it. In the process, the edible part of the crop is loosened but not the fiber part. It is done after harvesting and before winnowing. A thresher is a machine to separate grains from harvested crop and provide clean grain without much loss and damage. During threshing, grain loss in terms of broken grain, unthreshed grain, blown grain, spilled grain, and others. There are also two methods of threshing. First method is manual threshing. It is pedal thresher. The pedal or treadle thresher consists of threshing drum, base, transmission unit, and a foot crank. When pedaled, the threshing drum rotates and rice can be threshed when panicles are applied against the threshing drum. Trampling. This involves the use of bare feet or animals to thresh the crop. Threshing rack. The crop is held by the sheaves and beats it against a shattered bamboo, wooden platform, or any other hard object such as steel, oil drum. Flail. The use of flail or stick for threshing the crop is not popular for rice. Another method is mechanized threshing. From a historical viewpoint, threshing operations were mechanized earlier than harvesting methods and were studied throughout the 18th century. The machines of Western design are known as through-flow threshers is an example of mechanized threshing. Another example is IRRI developed an axial flow thresher which has been widely manufactured at local level. Such is the case in Thailand, where several thousands of these units have been put into use. More recently, a Dutch company, Votex, has developed a small mobile thresher. Provided with either one or two threshers, the machine has been widely adopted in many rice-growing areas. The simple design and work rates of these machines, about 500 kg per hour, seems to meet the requirements of rural communities. There is also combined harvesting and threshing methods. Combined harvesters, as the name implies, combine the actions of reaping and threshing. Either the throw-flow or the hold-on principle of threshing may be employed, but the reaping action is basically the same. The main difference is that combine harvesters of the Western type are equipped with a wide cutting bar, while the working width of the Japanese units is small. According to the type of machine used and especially to their working width, capacities range from 2 to 15 hours per hectares. Such machines are being increasingly used in some tropical countries in the Senegal River Delta region. Private constructors or farmers organizations have recently acquired combined harvesters, mainly of the Western type, so almost 40% of the delta surface area is harvested with a pool of about 50 units. Between 200 and 300 hectares of winter rice are mechanically harvested. In this region, the popularity of combined harvesters is high despite their poor suitability for some small-sized fields. And that's all. Thank you.